Young girl's heartwarming act of kindness to boy revealed as father's incredible secret watched. In a quaint suburban town, filled with laughter and the smell of freshly baked pies wafting from the corner diner, 10-year-old Lily Thompson embodied kindness in every small action. As she hustled alongside her single mother, a devoted waitress who worked tirelessly to make ends meet, their humble diner radiated warmth and love. Lily shared what little allowance she had with classmates who needed it more, a testament to her mother's strong values instilled in her heart. One sunny day, everything changed when Tommy Truitt walked through the school doors. Clad in worn-out clothes and carrying an aura of loneliness, he quickly became the target of sneers and laughter. Lily felt her heart ache for him. She didn't know his story yet, but she recognized a kindred spirit in his eyes. Their lives were stitched together by a tapestry of resilience, bound tighter than any words could express. As community spirits rose, the town organized a fundraiser. But this wasn't just any party. It was a celebration of wealth, thrown by none other than Tommy's father, a high-ranking local official. Lily's mother championed a cause to uplift struggling families, igniting a rift that echoed through the diner. With whispers dancing around them, Tommy's father was fixated on status, and Lily's mother was driven by compassion. Sensing the divide, Lily and Tommy began to wonder if they could bridge this gap. Maybe we can help them see each other's hearts, Lily said optimistically, her voice tinged with determination. Tommy nodded, though the furrow in his brow showed how heavy their task felt. They began strategizing, yearning to foster understanding, but uncertainty loomed like a storm cloud overhead. The day of the charity event approached, and tension crackled in the air. Hearts raced as Lily stood up to confront Tommy's father. Her voice quivered but rang clear. What does it really mean to be a leader? Gasps echoed through the crowd. Lily's words packed an emotional punch, expressing the worth of every family, regardless of their circumstances. The moment hung in the air, charged with hope veering toward confrontation. Suddenly, her bravery met with fury as Tommy's father lashed out, digging deeper into the divide. The adults, set in their ways, could only stare, their emotions skipping over compassion and landing on defensiveness. Outside, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Lily stumbled upon a hidden truth. She overheard snippets of conversation about Tommy's father's past as a veteran battling his own demons of PTSD. Suddenly, the boy she cherished and the world she fought for were intertwined in a web of sacrifice and hidden pain. As the fundraiser buzzed with anticipation that night, uncertainty wrapped around Lily's heart. What would happen when truths unveiled? Would they find solace in their struggles, or deepen the fracture that threatened to divide them? With the stakes at their highest, the community's eyes were on them, and hope lingered on the horizon, waiting to be ignited. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night unfolded, Lily felt the weight of every gaze upon her. Would they listen? Would Tommy's father see beyond his bravado? As lights twinkled like stars above them, hope and fear intertwined like the threads of a well-worn blanket. Tensions simmered, hearts throbbed, and the pivotal moment was waiting, an emotional crescendo lurking just around the corner. The gymnasium was transformed into a wonderland of colorful banners and twinkling fairy lights. The smell of popcorn and cotton candy mingled in the air, creating a juxtaposition of joy that contrasted sharply with the thunderstorm brewing in Lily's heart. At that moment, everything felt monumental. She stood at the center of conflicting emotions, hope thrumming through her veins and fear clawing at her throat. As Lily glanced around, she caught Tommy's eye. He was leaning against the wall, his posture reflecting a mix of anxiety and hope. They both understood the weight of what was at stake, but it was more than just a fundraiser for struggling families. It was about understanding, connection, and breaking through the silent walls they built around their pain. Moments before stepping onto the stage, Tommy approached her, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. "What if they don't get it, Lily?" His voice trembled, revealing the boy behind the tough exterior. She took a deep breath, her heart racing. "They will, Tommy. We just need to show them we're all the same inside." She offered him a reassuring smile, one that shimmered with the light of her unwavering belief. As they stepped into the spotlight, the crowd fell silent. The faces of their community, gathered around tables adorned with plates of food, were now looking directly at them. The room felt alive, every heartbeat amplifying Lily's courage. Taking hold of the microphone, she said, "Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. We're not here to just raise money. We're here to raise understanding." Her voice was steady, and she felt Tommy's presence beside her, a silent support fueling her passion. She began to share stories, moments she had witnessed in the diner, the smiles exchanged between families overcoming hardship, and the laughter shared over ice cream cones. She spoke of resilience, connection, and the threads that bound them all together, transcending wealth, status, or past trauma. As she spoke, the room began absorbing her words, leaning in almost as if the very walls were straining to hear her message. And just when she felt the tide of emotion shift in their favor, she turned her gaze to Tommy's father, who stood stony-faced in the back of the gym. "Mr. Truitt," she called out, her heart pounding as she invited him to join them on stage. "You once said that every child deserves a chance to be seen, right? We need your help to make that happen." Gasps echoed through the room, as she could see the tense muscles in his jaw. This was risky, but Lily felt the fire of her mission ignite a boldness within her. Tommy's father stepped forward reluctantly, his eyes flickering with a mix of irritation and curiosity. "This is ridiculous," he started, but Lily interrupted him. "No, this is necessary." She shared what she learned about his service, his struggle, and the silent battle many faced behind facades of strength. Each word dripped with compassion, revealing he, too, was human. It was a call for connection, a call for understanding. The room held its breath, caught in the tension of revelation. Would he respond? Would he finally acknowledge the pain they shared? The air thickened with emotion, and in that moment, barriers began to crumble. Tommy placed a tentative hand on her shoulder, grounding them both. Hope radiated between them, but fear still clawed at Lily's heart. It was one thing to speak out. It was another to really change hearts. As the crowd began to murmur, a cross-section of surprise and reflection, Tommy's father faltered. He stood frozen, vulnerability creeping into his expression. Would he take the next step? Could they truly bridge the gap between their worlds? The answer danced just out of reach, leaving Lily grasping at possibility. Will he finally understand? Will the community unite instead of divide? The questions loomed large as the moment hung in the air, teetering on the brink of transformation or turmoil. The room was electric, a charged silence settling over the audience. Everyone held their breath, their attention fixated on the man at the back of the gym. Tommy's father, a strapping figure whose strength was visible yet seemed to waver for the first time, grappling with something deep within. The crowd waited, anticipation clinging to the air like cotton candy in their mouths. Lily could feel it pulsing in her chest, the hope that maybe, just maybe, this would be the moment everything changed. She glanced at Tommy, whose face reflected a storm of uncertainty. She squeezed his hand, sharing a silent encouragement, wishing they could leap over the divide together. "Mr. Truitt," she said again, voice steady but filled with emotion. "Your story matters. Your struggles matter. We need your voice." Each word felt like an invitation, a soft plea that hung between them. She saw the flicker of indecision in Mr. Truitt's eyes, the way his facade began to crack. "Why should I?" he finally muttered, voice low and edged with pain. "Why should they care?" "They care because they want to understand," she urged, her heart hammering in her chest. "They want to know they're not alone in their struggles. They want to see you, just as much as you want to see them. And then, in that moment, the silence broke. A little girl in the front, with pigtails and big green eyes, rose from her seat. I care. Her voice rang clear, innocent. It was brave and bold, rising directly above the murmur of hesitation. I care about everyone. Mr. Truitt, please talk. Lily's heart swelled. The girl's courage filled the room, igniting a spark. Other voices joined in, echoing the sentiment. We care. We want to understand. Hands began clapping, a gentle ripple of applause that grew, resonating with Tommy's father's hesitant heart. Mr. Truitt shifted uncomfortably. It was as if the walls he had built around himself were beginning to crack, letting in light. A glimmer of recognition flickered across his face, accompanied by a flicker of something else, fear. Maybe regret? Look, I'm not the man you all think I am. He finally spoke, his voice low yet firm. I've made mistakes. I've been angry, and I've hurt people. I don't know that I could be the person you believe I should be. The room tensed, breaths caught in throats. But Lily saw the glint of hope. You're not alone in that, she said gently, her voice weaving through the crowd. We all make mistakes. We all hurt sometimes. But we can heal together. Isn't that worth it? A moment of deep silence stretched before the tension snapped back like a taut string. Tommy's father took a step forward, then paused, visibly shaken. Apparently, the weight of vulnerability felt heavy, yet liberating all at once. I don't know how to start, he finally admitted, his voice cracking slightly. You already have, Tommy said, stepping beside Lily, his presence growing steadier. You've taken a first step by being here. The crowd erupted into cheers, their approval filling the room like an embrace. Mr. Truitt seemed to breathe deeper, taking in this unexpected wave of support. Then maybe I can share, he began, glancing at the faces of those who had dared to care. I've lived with secrets that cut deeper than any scar. If they're willing to listen, I will share mine. And with that, a rush of emotions swept through Lily. She felt the burden lift, like the storm clouds parting to reveal a long-sought sun. The connection was starting to form, fragile but vivid. But in the midst of this burgeoning moment of hope, Lily sensed the retelling of his truth would not be easy. What secrets could Tommy's father reveal that would pull them closer or threaten to tear apart everything they fought for? Can they truly handle the truth? She wondered. Would this be the key to understanding or merely a deeper chasm? As she glanced at Tommy, she felt the weight of uncertainty settle again. This was just the beginning, but what lay ahead was shrouded in mystery. As the crowd fell silent, Mr. Truitt took a deep breath, the kind that seemed to gather all his past regrets, anger, and fear into one heavy lungful. You could almost see the invisible curtains he had drawn closed for so long parting, revealing the murky depths of his heart. The truth he began, his voice steadying as he looked around, searching for understanding on the faces that had turned to him. It's messy. It's not pretty, he continued, his gaze locking onto Tommy, a plea and a confession mingling in his eyes. I've been running from it for years. I thought if I buried it deep enough, no one would ever know how bad I really was. Tommy swallowed hard, his grip on Lily's hand tightening. The weight of his father's words wrapped around him, suffocating yet strangely liberating. I lost my job a few years back, Mr. Truitt said, the shame clear in his voice. I wasn't just unhappy. I was lost. I became someone I didn't recognize. I threw myself into a bottle, thinking it was my escape. And he paused, a choked breath escaping his lips. I hurt people. A murmur rippled through the audience. Lily watched as the little girl with pigtails clutched her stuffed animal closer, her wide eyes reflecting concern and compassion that seemed to echo in the room. I lost my family, my wife, my children. They couldn't bear to see me like that. And I didn't blame them. I was a shadow of who I once was, Mr. Truitt confessed, his voice now a trembling whisper. It almost swallowed me whole. With every word, the atmosphere shifted, the air thick with both sorrow and understanding. The parents in the audience exchanged looks, their own struggles reflected in his raw honesty. But, he continued, voice rising slightly. I don't want to be that man anymore. I don't want my sons to remember me as weak. I have done unforgivable things, but today, I want to change. I want to be better. I need to show Tommy and his brother that there's hope, even when it seems hopeless. Tommy's insides flipped. His father admitting he was wrong? It was a start, a glimmer of something he had longed for. Yet, uncertainty still loomed. Was this just the first wave of a greater storm? As Mr. Truitt delved deeper into his past, recounting the bittersweet moments of desperation and how he began to seek help, the crowd listened intently. A group of young people began to nod along, sharing knowing gazes. It was a web of shared darkness and light, old wounds laid bare in the hope of healing. Lily could feel tears prick her eyes. She wanted to leap up and hug the man exposing his soul, but instead, she focused on the change in the room. Emotions shifted. Empathy radiated within the gym walls. Mr. Truitt's voice faltered as he grew exhausted, yet emboldened by his confession. If you hear me, just know change isn't easy. But it's possible. Today might just be the first step to reclaiming my life, and maybe it could be the same for some of you. Tommy glanced around, searching for doubt, but he found none. The audience seemed to echo his awakening. A newfound spirit connected them all. It was a bridge built by his father's courage, surrounding them with the promise of understanding and healing. And in that moment, Lily felt certain. They were on a path towards something significant, but even so, questions loomed in her mind. Would Mr. Truitt be able to follow through when the applause faded? Could they really rebuild on the foundation of his truths? As the crowd began to erupt into a heartfelt round of applause, signaling their support, Tommy looked up at his father, teeming with both admiration and fear. The truth had been unveiled, but the journey ahead was still hidden in shadows. Was this the beginning of healing or another painful chapter? Lily wondered, her heart pounding with anticipation. And just as Mr. Truitt looked poised to embrace the energy of the room, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket. What news could possibly come now, shattering this fragile moment of hope? Mr. Truitt paused, his hand instinctively reaching for the phone. The joyous applause faded into a tense silence, the kind that stretches and pulls at the edges of hope. He glanced at Tommy, who was looking up at him with wide, expectant eyes that were eager for validation, craving a connection. The buzzing continued, each vibration a reminder of the unpredictable world outside the gym, a world that had been so cruel to him. With a heavy sigh, Mr. Truitt finally pulled the phone from his pocket. The name on the screen sent a jolt through him. It was Lisa, his ex-wife. Just a moment, he said softly to the crowd, his voice barely above a whisper. He stepped aside, heart racing, unsure if he wanted to hear what she had to say. Tommy watched, worry knotting in his stomach. Could this be the phone call that shattered everything his father had begun to build? The applause had transformed into a hushed uncertainty. Hey, Mr. Truitt began, glancing back at the crowd as if they would hold the answers. His heart sank as Lisa's words came tumbling out of the phone, sharp and clear. You need to come home. The boys are asking for you. They've been worried. The mention of Liam pierced his heart. Those little boys who had once looked up at him with such love, now full of questions about why their dad had disappeared from their lives. I can't just leave now, he murmured, his voice trembling with desperation. I'm trying to change. I'm finally trying to be a father. The crowd watched intently, holding their breaths as he grappled with the weight of his family's expectations and his newly ignited desire for redemption. A moment later, he realized the gym was no longer just a place for his catharsis. It had become a place of witness, a safe space forged through truth. With a stony expression, he hung up, his heart shattering into pieces. He turned back toward the audience, desperate to reclaim the energy. I have to go, I can't ignore them. They deserve a father. He saw the concern on Tommy's face, a mirror of his own uncertainty. But I'm here, and I'm trying, Mr. Truitt promised, speaking not just to Tommy but to all those who had listened. I've hurt you, and I'm sorry. I'm not asking for forgiveness right now. I just want to show all of you that I'm working on it. Lily felt her own heart thudding in her chest. She stood as Mr. Truitt spoke, uncertainty warring with conviction in her gut. "You will find a way, Mr. Truitt, right?" she called out, electricity in her voice. "Every day, I'll fight," he replied, his voice cracking with emotion. "To be better." The audience began murmuring, their mixed emotions filling the room. Healing wasn't simple. It required brutal honesty and vulnerability, yet also a leap of faith one Mr. Truitt was willing to take. And then a small voice piped up from the back of the gym. A little girl with pigtails stood clutching her stuffed animal, tears glistening in her eyes. "If you keep trying, it means you love them," she shouted, voice echoing with innocent strength. Mr. Truitt looked down, and in that moment, the barrier around his heart began to crumble. "I do love them. That's why I need to do this," he whispered, feeling the warmth of collective understanding wrap around him. Tommy's breath caught, touched by his father's homage to love and commitment. In this moment, they were bound by the truth, both battling their fears as they took steps toward a future laden with hope. But just as they were about to bask in their shared resolve, Mr. Truitt's phone rang again, barely waiting for him to catch his breath. It was his mother. What would she want now? Anxiety rippled through him as he wondered if he was ready to face yet another reality. Would this call tear him further apart, or could it solidify the healing he so desperately sought? Mr. Truitt stared at the screen, his finger hovering above the green button. The gym around him felt like it had shrunk, sound absorbing into the air as all eyes turned back to him, their anticipation palpable. He had been staring deep into the canyon of his own regrets, and now another call from another person he'd let down loomed before him. Taking a steadying breath, he pressed the button. "Mom?" His voice came out steadier than he felt inside. "Mark," she began, her tone tinged with worry. "I saw you on the news with the kids. I'm glad you're doing better, but you need to come home. We have a lot to talk about." "Home." The word felt heavy, like a weight on his chest. "I'm trying to build something here, Mom, something real. I can't just drop everything again. Your boys need you. I know it's been hard, but you can't keep running away from your responsibilities." Her voice softened. She'd seen the pain he carried. "They've been talking about you, asking if you'll come back. They miss you." His heart ached at the thought of Liam and the little ones, with their innocent hopes still flickering like candle flames. How could he ever have let them down so completely? Tears pricked at the corner of his eyes, but he held them back fiercely. "I'm not running away. I'm right here trying," he whispered, almost as if he could will his resolve into existence. "Trying isn't enough anymore. They need more than your effort. They want their dad." Mr. Truitt's stomach twisted. Every fiber of his being wanted to reassure her and himself that he would fix things. But how? "I need some time," he stammered, feeling the space between them closing in. "Time?" Her voice dropped, laced with urgency. What if there isn't any left? Silence draped over him like a heavy blanket. What if she was right? What if time was something he had squandered? With a newfound sense of urgency, he quickly ended the call and turned back to the crowd, anxiety pooling in his stomach. Did they sense his turmoil? He had exposed himself in a way he never thought he could. Would they extend their support, or would they retreat, disillusioned by his failures? Tommy stepped forward, reading the shadows in his father's eyes. "Mr. Truitt?" His voice was steady. "You talked about love and trying harder, but now it's about acting. You need to decide what's best for your boys." Every part of Mr. Truitt wanted to shake his head, to reject the notion of leaving this transformative moment behind. But deep down, he recognized the truth of it. Tommy was right. Being a father wasn't just about words, but also about actions, powerful, transformative actions. Suddenly, the little girl with pigtails reappeared, her stuffed bear still clutched tightly in her arms. She walked up to Mr. Truitt, stopping before him with big, earnest eyes. "You can do it, sir. I know you love them. Just never forget that." Her words melted through the veneer of his uncertainty, striking at the heart of what mattered. He knelt down to her level, feeling the weight of the world slightly lift. "Thank you, sweet girl. That means more than you know." As the crowd watched, he felt anchored, a surge of determination washing over him. "I need to go," but I'll fight for them. I promise." With that final declaration, he stepped toward the exit, the weight of his family's expectations lifting just a little. But as he reached for the door, he felt a flutter of dread in his chest. What awaited him on the other side? Could he truly navigate the storm of whispers from his past and the uncertain future looming ahead? He took one step outside, the light of the world hitting him. There would be no turning back now. Just then, his phone buzzed in his pocket again, the screen lighting up with another name, a name he had tried so hard to run from. What revelation awaited him this time? As Mr. Truitt stared at his phone, a wave of dread washed over him. The name flickered on the screen like a beacon he had sought to extinguish. Sarah, the woman he once called his wife, the love that unraveled with words and silence, and the reason he had fled his past. Would she remind him of everything he thought he buried? With a trembling hand, he swiped to answer. Sarah? His voice was a mix of hope and anxiety, wavering like a tightrope walker. Mark, she responded, her voice filled with something he couldn't quite place. Was it anger? Resentment? Or maybe just concern? I saw you at the gym. It's good to see you're trying to make things right. Her words had a sharp edge that cut deeper than he anticipated. I'm doing my best, he replied, uncertainty creeping in. The kids, they need me. I want to be there. You think trying is enough? The question hung heavy. Mark, they need more than just trying. They need you to be all in. He flinched, her words echoing his mother's earlier sentiments. I know, but it's complicated. I can't just jump back and like nothing happened. There was a pause on the other end, and for a moment, silence ruled. They miss you, Mark. Liam asks about you all the time. It's been hard for him, especially without you. They need their father, not just his shadow. His heart twisted painfully. He could picture Liam sitting alone, eyes filled with questions he hadn't answered. I thought it was better if I stayed away. I didn't want to hurt them more. Running has never fixed anything. If anything, it just made the hurt deeper. With her words, a flicker of the past sparked within him memories of laughter and love before the storm. This isn't about you anymore. It's about them. Tears blurred his vision as he looked back at the gym, the echoes of supportive voices rushing to his forefront. The girl with the teddy bear, Tommy's unwavering gaze. What do I do? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. You step up. You show them and yourself that you can be the dad they deserve. I can't do this alone. They need you to be real, Mark. The time is now. Each pulse of her words ignited a flame inside him. How many times had he told himself he would change? How long had he clung to the idea that he could fix his life from a distance? What if I fail again? He asked, vulnerability pouring forth like a flood. Then we fail together, and we try again. You're not alone in this. Just come home. Her plea cut through him, carving an opening where doubt had once thrived. A rush of determination surged, battling the familiar fears. Okay, he finally said. I'll come home. I'll fight for them. With that promise hanging in the air, he felt a shift within himself. This was just about facing Sarah or the kids. It was about confronting the man in the mirror. The man who had been lost, but was now wondering if he could be found again. Mark, Sarah said, her voice suddenly softening. I believe in you. He swallowed hard, a mix of dread and hope. Thanks, Sarah. I'll see you soon. As he ended the call, a new wave of resolve washed over him. It wasn't going to be easy, but for the first time in a long time, he felt that he could do this. He took a deep breath, stepping further into his new reality, when suddenly he felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Tommy. Mr. Truitt, are you okay? Tommy's expression was filled with concern. Yeah, I think I am, Mark replied, realizing that maybe, just maybe, he was standing on the edge of something good. And then a thought struck him what exactly awaited him at home. Were Liam and the rest of the kids ready to embrace their father after so long? The uncertainty loomed, but one thing was clear. He had to dive back in, ready or not. As he turned to leave, his phone buzzed again. A message from Sarah. They really need you. Don't let them down again. The weight of her words pressed down as he stepped into the light of the world, feeling the familiar but distant sting of guilt resurfacing. But this time, As he walked forward, he felt something stronger belief. Could he really turn this into a new beginning? Would he find acceptance and forgiveness? The journey was just starting, and the road ahead was uncertain. But one thing was clear. He couldn't run from this anymore. As he headed home, a question danced in his mind, leaving him both terrified and excited. What was waiting for him on that familiar doorstep? As Mark drove through the familiar streets of his neighborhood, memories flooded back. The faded sidewalks held echoes of laughter, his kids racing each other on bikes, the rustle of leaves as they played hide and seek. He could almost hear their voices calling out to him, but those fading sounds mixed with the heavy silence of unfulfilled promises. His heart raced as he turned the corner, the house coming into view. It looked the same. The paint needed a touch-up, the lawn slightly overgrown. But it was home, home filled with possibility and pain, all tangled together. What awaited him behind that door? Would they see him as their father again, or just a ghost from their past? He parked the car and sat for a moment, gripping the steering wheel tightly. He took a long breath, trying to ground himself. This was his chance to change, to show them he could be the man they needed. The weight of his own expectations pressed down on him. He couldn't fail them again. With resolve, he stepped out of the car and walked towards the front door. Each step felt heavy, echoing his uncertainty. As he reached for the doorknob, the door swung open suddenly. There stood Liam, his face lighting up with surprise. "Dad?" he whispered, as if saying the word could shatter the moment. At that second, time stood still. Mark felt a tight knot in his throat. This was his son, his boy, and an overwhelming rush of emotion hit him. Liam was taller, just on the verge of becoming a teenager, yet there was still a glimmer of the little boy Mark remembered. "Hey, buddy," Mark managed to say, his voice thick. Liam stepped back, allowing him to enter. The house felt different, somehow hallowed and achingly familiar. The living room was cluttered with toys and books, remnants of their life together, a silent testament to the time lost. "Mom told me you were coming back," Liam said, barely above a whisper. "Yeah, I just talked to her," Mark answered, searching for the right words. He noticed the changing expressions on his son's face: hope, confusion, and then something like fear. "I want to be here, Liam. I really do." "Do you mean it?" The question hung in the air, potent and heavy. Mark nodded, his heart racing. "I do. I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sorry, but you just left," Liam interrupted, his voice trembling. "You promised you would stay." In that moment, Mark felt the weight of every promise broken. "I know, and I can't change the past, but I want to start again. Be a real dad this time." Just then, Sarah appeared at the doorway. The hesitant look in her eyes held the same flicker of hope he saw in Liam's. "Mark, you're here." "I'm glad." But beneath her composed exterior, he caught the undercurrent of anxiety. "Mom, can we start over?" Liam asked, his voice trembling. "Of course, sweetie," Sarah replied, her gaze shifting towards Mark as if gauging his sincerity. Mark stepped forward, feeling everything inside of him surge, the desire to connect with his children rising. "I could do better. I want to know everything about you, Liam. Like what your favorite movie is now, or what you want for your birthday. Is it okay if I still love the Transformers?" Liam asked, a hint of vulnerability showing through. "Absolutely. And I'll even watch them with you. Just let me be part of your life again, okay?" Liam's expression softened just a bit, and he stepped forward, closing the distance between them. "Okay, Dad." As Mark wrapped his arms around him, swallowing the lump in his throat, he felt the warmth of acceptance seep through him. It was not complete yet, but it was a start. But as he pulled back, he noticed Sarah watching them, her expression unreadable. "Mark," she began cautiously, "we need to talk about what happened." "Wait." Liam interjected, his voice sudden and strong. "Can we just celebrate? You're back." Mark glanced at Sarah, and they both shared a moment of silent understanding. There were still things to address, but for now, they could enjoy this small victory. "Sure, buddy. First step? Dinner together," he suggested, heart racing with unspoken fears about the conversation. That was yet to come. But as he stepped further into the house, he sensed an undeniable shift. The warmth was real, but it was mixed with unanswered questions. What truths still lay buried in the shadows? What would Sarah reveal that could change everything again? As they settled into the living room, the air felt thick with unspoken words. Sarah busied herself in the kitchen, the clatter of pots and pans punctuating the silence. Mark awkwardly shuffled, wondering how to bridge the gap between them, how to make a real connection when he felt like an intruder in his own home. "I made your favorite, Dad," Liam said, a flicker of excitement lighting his eyes. "Mac and cheese." "Really? You remember?" Mark replied, a smile breaking through his nerves. Liam nodded, enthusiasm bubbling up. "You used to say it was the best thing ever. Remember the time I spilled it all over my shirt and Mom laughed so hard?" Mark chuckled, the warmth of nostalgia washing over him. Those little moments tugged at his heart. He surveyed the room, taking in the faded family photos lining the shelves, snapshots of birthdays, holidays, moments marked by laughter. "Yeah, I remember," Mark said, his voice low. "Those were great times, Lee." The old TV flickered to life, and a cartoon blared in the background, matching Liam's energy. It felt good, almost normal. But deep down, Mark had sensed the friction between them, questions simmering beneath the surface. Sarah appeared, carrying a bowl filled with steaming mac and cheese. She set it down in front of them, and for a brief moment, the tension melted away as they scooped servings onto their plates, laughter blending with the cartoon's antics. "Thanks for this," Mark said earnestly, lifting his fork. As the meal progressed, Liam chatted animatedly about school, friends, and the latest superhero movie he'd seen. Mark listened, intrigued, marveling at how quickly his son was growing up. He wanted to soak all of this in, to tuck it away as a memory for when the shadows of the past crept back in. But after a few moments of carefree conversation, Sarah cleared her throat, drawing their attention. The playful atmosphere shifted instantly as her expression turned serious. "Mark," she began, hesitating as if wrestling with her words. "I think we need to talk about what happened in the past." Mark's stomach sank. He could sense the gravity in her tone. "You mean why I left?" She nodded slowly, her gaze steady on him. "Yes, and everything that followed." Liam looked from his mom to Mark, confusion flickering in his eyes. "What are you talking about?" "Just some old things we need to sort out, buddy," Sarah said, trying to keep her tone light, but failing. "Can it wait?" Mark asked, his heart racing. This wasn't how he wanted to spend their first evening back. "Can't we just enjoy this for now?" Liam piped up, "Yeah, we can talk about that later, Mom. Right now it's just you and Dad." Mark felt a rush of gratitude towards Liam. "Exactly. We've got time, right?" Sarah frowned, but Mark could see her internal struggle. She wanted to protect Liam, to shield him from the weight of their history. But the truth was a heavy, blunt instrument. "Things have changed so much," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. Mark felt uneasy. The shadows he had hoped to leave behind were creeping back. "Can we not do this right now?" he asked, desperation creeping into his voice. Liam glanced back and forth between them, clearly unsettled. "Is everything okay?" Mark forced a smile, searching for words that wouldn't add to the mountain of confusion. "Everything's fine, Lee. Just some grown-up stuff." As Liam took another bite, Mark stole a glance at Sarah. Her mouth was set in a tight line, and he could see the storm brewing just beneath her calm exterior. But at that moment, the doorbell rang, cutting through the tension like a bolt of lightning. All three of them jumped, and Mark felt a jolt of relief. "I'll get it," he exclaimed, grateful for the distraction. But as he opened the door, his heart dropped. Standing there was a familiar face, one he hadn't seen in years, the last person he expected to show up today. "Hi, Mark. We need to talk." It was as if the ground below him shifted, a ripple of unease spreading through the room, leaving him to wonder what other secrets could come tumbling out. Mark stood frozen, his heart racing at the unexpected sight. There, in the doorway, was Sarah's younger brother, Jason. He had been a constant presence during Mark's earlier years, always jovial, always ready to share a laugh. But now, the expression on his face was grave. "Jason," Mark stammered, uncertainty flooding his voice. "What are you doing here?" Before Jason could answer, Liam, sensing the shift in the air, peeked around his dad's legs. "Who's that, Dad?" Mark glanced back at Sarah, who stood in the kitchen, her demeanor shifting from shock to concern. "It's Jason, sweetheart," she replied softly, trying to maintain a sense of normality despite her own rising anxiety. "Yes, just a family friend," Jason interjected, the playful spirit of the past lost. "But we need to talk, Mark. It's important." "Can it wait?" Mark blurted out, his desperation evident. The warmth of the meal, the laughter just shared, all felt eclipsed by the tense atmosphere brewing in the room. "No," Jason said firmly, stepping inside, his gaze shifting pointedly to Sarah, then back at Mark. "Not this time. It's about your father. You need to know what is going on." Mark felt his blood run cold. His father? What could possibly concern Jason that had to do with his father? Memories of his dad, filled with disappointment and unmet expectations, surged forth unbidden. "What about him?" is all he could muster. Liam looked from his dad to Jason, sensing the shadows falling over him. "Isn't this supposed to be a happy night?" he asked, confusion sprinkled with concern. "Trust me, it's important, Liam," Mark replied, gripping his son's shoulder for reassurance. "Thank you for coming, Jason, but I just got here. I need time with my family." "Time will run out if we don't act," Jason insisted. "I'd come to support you, but this isn't about old memories anymore. This is about facing hard truths." Sarah finally stepped in, her tone wavering between authority and softness. "Jason, maybe not now. This is Mark's first night back. Every second counts, Sarah." Jason snapped, exasperation lining his voice. "We can't afford to bury our heads in the sand." Mark felt overwhelming tension unraveling the fabric of his homecoming. "What has happened?" he said, trying to steady himself, sensing the pivotal moment hovering at the edge. "What about my dad? After you left, he avoided the family like a ghost," Jason began, his voice low, pulling Mark into a past he had tried to escape. "But he's not well. He has been moving between hospital visits and feeling lost. He keeps asking about you and the kids." "Lost?" Mark echoed. "He's just a shadow of a man to me. Why would it matter?" "But it does matter," Jason insisted, fixing him with a gaze that dared him to turn away. "His health is declining. He's afraid of reaching out, of hearing yourself as much as hearing you call for him. You need to decide if you're ready to face him." Memories of a father fraught with emotional distance flooded Mark's mind, moments marked by secrets and disappointment. "Why should I? He ruined so many years for me," Mark replied bitterly, hurt surfacing. "Because he's part of your story," Jason said, urgency edging into his words. "And this moment could reshape everything, not just for you, but for him." Liam, overwhelmed by their exchange, tugged at Mark's shirt. "Dad, is everything okay?" No, buddy. It's just complicated," Mark said, suddenly aware of the burden of family that loomed large. His focus shifted to the boy whose eyes reflected innocence and trust. "I don't want to put you in the middle of this." "But I'm already here," Liam persisted. "Mark," Jason interjected, his voice steadier, profound. "Being a father means facing the hard truths, even with a history like yours. Try to find compassion despite the scars." Mark felt the pressure build within him. He had been running for so long, but could this be the moment he had been preparing for? He glanced back at Sarah, who held his gaze with a mix of caution and hope. She had tried to keep this place a sanctuary for him and the kids. "Can I do this?" Mark thought to himself, wrestling with the hesitation within. "Will this moment help us heal or tear us apart?" Just then, he saw the hope in Liam's shining eyes. If there was a chance to mend what had been broken, he had to take it, if not for himself, then for his son. "Okay," Mark finally said quietly, the determination settling into place. "I'll see him, I'll talk to him." The words felt momentous, a promise to himself and to his family. Liam's expression brightened, relief flaring in his eyes. "You mean it, Dad?" "I mean it," Mark replied, feeling the weight of that decision settle around him, a new path opening. "Together, we'll figure it out." He turned to Jason, the weight of family ties now starting to make sense in this chaotic moment. "Let's go." As they stepped out toward a new beginning, a shared journey filled with uncertainties shimmered ahead. The past would haunt them, but they would walk together, hand in hand, one step at a time, as they learned the lessons of forgiveness, resilience, and love. And with that determination shining in his heart, Mark felt the storm within him quiet as the possibilities of healing began to unfurl. Now is your moment. If you loved this transformative story and want more, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't wait, not even one more second, to hit that like button and show your support. It truly makes all the difference. Share your thoughts in the comments about how this ending made you feel. And remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this kind of inspiration, because they deserve to find their own paths to resilience. This is the moment to spread kindness.